this work group and domain, and what is Active Directory. That part first of all we'll complete it up to Active Directory. Okay, so then I will try for a DHCP. Already you know the DHCP. Just I'm telling what is DHCP. Guys, it is a work group and domain. What is the difference between work group and domain? What is work group? What is domain? What is the difference between work group and? It's a very important question. Okay, and also for any type of interview, attend networking based interviews. So commonly you will get a work group and domain. You go to Microsoft related, Microsoft server related interview questions, or networking based interview questions, operating system based interview questions. These are the common. Okay, so what is a work group? What is a work group? Work group is a decentralized administration. Guys, simply say all our PCs all our PCs generally there are in the work group only. By default, our computers are in the work group only. So it is a simple individual PCs. A individual PCs only. Work group are nothing but a member of a work group. Work group means your device is a member of work group or a domain. You are a member of work group, name is work group only, generally. Okay. For example, this is a PCA, PCB, PCC, PCD. These are all in the work group. Okay. PCA, PCB, PCC, PCD, 4 PCs. Okay. Okay. So in this PC, we have a user. For example, Naveen is a user in this PC. Okay. So obviously is a first user. Automatically Naveen is the administrator of PCA. Naveen is a administrator of PCA. For example, Abhishek, a big name it is. Abhishek is a user in the PCB and is a administrator of PCB. I'll take some names, easy names I wanted. Ashish, Naveen, Parjit. Aman is a easy name. Pavan is a easy name. Okay, yeah. Easy writing. Easy writing is important. Okay, spelling mistakes. Okay, Aman is a administrator for PCC. Pavan is a administrator for a PCD. So 4 computers, each computer having a user. 1 second, I will close the door. See, and he stopped. You see, uh, um, each PC having a user, and the user itself, it is a administrator. For example, maybe a PC contains 2, 3 users, but basically one administrator first. So PCA contains a user, Naveen is also administrator. So this user information store in PCA only, where the user information store in PCA only, where password is stores in the PCA only, okay, where he can able to log in a PCA only. He cannot log into PCB or PCC or PCD because information store, username, password, user information stores in the PCA only, not in other PCs. So you cannot able to access, first of all. First, the second one, PCA, PCB, PCC, PCD. So like same thing, Abhishek is information stored in a PCB, user information, username, password stored in PCB. So Abhishek can able to log into PCB only, not in PCA, not in a PCC or a PCD. Okay. So there is a PC and there is a user and is a administrator. For example, Naveen want to install some application or you want to change some settings or maybe uninstall some application or you want to create some policy. Okay. So Naveen can able to do in the PCA, not in other PCs, but Naveen can able to do in a PCA, not in other PCs. Okay. So this is very simple to understand. Guys, here each PC is an individual PC. Each computer is an individual computer. For example, I will show you what is this workgroup and domain kind of stuff also. So you can go to system, again about, go to rename this PC, rename this PC. You can see computer description, computer name, workgroup, and I belongs to workgroup. My workgroup is workgroup. I click on change. You can see computer name, full computer name, member of domain or a member of workgroup. Okay, member of domain or a member of workgroup. What is member of workgroup? Is already member of workgroup. Okay, it's not a member of domain, it is already member of workgroup. So it's an individual PC. I have an account name, so my account name is like this. My account name is this one. So I can able to, I'll come back to this point. Okay, so I can able to install application, uninstall application. I do settings. I create a policies for my PC only. I do connections. Okay, I do like a network connections. I do changes, connection changes, right? Settings. Okay, so I administrate my PC. Like same thing. Naveen administrate a PCA, PCB is administrated by Abhishek. Aman is administrating C. Pawan is administrating D. So this is called a work group, guys. Individual PCs, no centralized administration, no centralized administration, no centralized server to manage these users or computers. So we don't have any centralized computer, centralized device to manage the users or computers. Each individual PC having their own user account, so they can manage individually, not centrally. So that is a work group. Next, guys, you have a 4 computers. You have to do certain settings in the 4 computers. You have to go to each and every computer. You have to do a setting. Okay, or you have to do some checking. For example, in our classroom, so in a Pune classrooms in generally, so this is the desktop background is there, no? Here it is. I have a Windows 10 logo is there for a desktop background. I have a Windows 10 logo is there. Okay. Some people put a desktop background pictures like this. They put a desktop wallpapers. Okay. Some are putting a plain sceneries are okay, no problem, little bit, but some people put a puppies. Some people put some horror kind of stuff. Okay, yeah. Some people put like this is not big one, but some people put puppies, flowers. Usually girls are like puppies, flowers kind of stuff. So if boys are sitting, then automatically they're putting this Spider-Man, Batman, or a Joker, Thanos, like is Thanos. Sorry, Thanos. So right. So what I want to do is, I want these. I want the users should not use different wallpapers. I make them to use only one single wallpaper only. Or there is a firewall setting. I have to go to PC and I have to set the firewall related setting in the each and every PC. I have to go to each and every PC. I'll do firewall setting. Okay, I do firewall setting. Or we can say like I have to install some application. So I have to go to each and every PC. I install application. Okay, so I'm just a management. So then I'm doing maintenance. Here it is with their user accounts only, with their admin accounts only. Okay, so 4 PCs, no problem. I can do individually. 10 PCs, I can control them individually. I can manage them individually. 10 computers, 20 computers, 30 computers. Little harder, but I can try. 50 computers, 100 computers, 200 computers, 500 computers. It's very difficult to manage one by one, right? So difficulty increases, number of devices increases. It's a difficulty to manage individual devices based on a one single policy for 100 computers. Single policy you have to implement for 100 computers. So you have to go to each and every computer to manage that one. Each computer having different kind of stuff that is different, but same configuration for 100 computers or a same application deployment for 100 computers. Okay, same kind of policy for 100 computers. It is very difficult to go to each and every PC to manage. Then what we do, we put a centralized server and we'll try to force the policy from the centralized computer. That point is there, but we'll come back to that point. Guys, first of all, understand what is a work group. Work group is not binded to any centralized server or centralized system or centralized control. There is no centralized administration or a centralized control. Each individual PC is administered by their own local administrator. Each individual PC administered by their own local administrator. Okay. User in the one PC is their user information stores in that PC only. User information password store in that PC only. User in one PC cannot log into other PCs or cannot administrate, cannot control other PCs in the network, because each user having their own local administrator, they will manage the local configurations. Okay. Any settings required to any settings you are changing policies or application installation or uninstallation of applications done by their own local administrators only. Number of devices increases. We cannot go to each and every PC to control or manage or deploy application or deploy settings to each and every PC for more computers or 100 to 100 computers. It is very difficult. So this is about your work group. Next is domain, but first of all, I want to tell a work group points. This is a work group. So centralized administration, no centralized control. Decentralized administration, no centralized control. Every system or PC has their own administrator. Once PC user cannot log into other PC. User information, passwords, settings, stores in their own PCs only. Can control individually, not centrally. So you have to control, go to each and every PC, you can control them, but cannot be controlled in a centrally. More number of devices increases or more number of systems are increases, it's difficult to manage individually. So then we come to the centralized administration. What is this centralized administration? So we'll discuss this centralized administration. Because it's I have to draw in a good box, big box like this. It is a centralized administration. Of course, that is also in the network. Okay, so this is the server with the Active Directory installed in it. So this is called a domain controller. What is domain? First of all, we need a domain controller to control this domain kind of stuff. This is a domain controller, and we have a domain name. So for example, domain name is anything you can put it. It's Noida batch, Noida2.com, for example. Some domain name, something I put a domain name. Okay, so for example, these are all belongs to same domain. So already I told one thing, guys, to join in the domain. So by basis, by default systems are in the work group. You want to join in the domain, you have to go to this. Okay, go to this system properties, computer name, click on change. Then you have to change member of domain. You have to select member of domain and give the domain name. Why it is disabled? Because it is a Windows 10 home. Windows 10 home, one more is there. We cannot join Windows 10 home PCs to domain. Cannot join Windows 10 home PCs to domain. Okay. Can join Windows 10 home PCs to domain. So I'll again see change member of work group. I'm member of work group. If I select member of domain and give the domain name like a Noida2.com, then click OK and ask authentication, give the authentication, then I will join. Once I join into the domain, my computer information will go to this domain controller. Okay, so domain controller contains a database of domain computers. Those computers join in the domain, their information stores in this one. And I create a users in this domain like user 1, user 2, user 3, user 4, user 5 like this. I create a users in the domain only. When I am trying to log in with a user, for example, I am trying to log in with a user 1. I am trying to log into PCA with the user 1. It the information go to this domain controller and ask for authentication. Naveen is get authenticated by PCA because of Naveen is a local user of PCA. But user 1 is a domain user and user 1 information stored in the domain controller. User 1 information stored in the domain controller. So that user 1 will get authenticated by domain controller only. Okay. Now I can log into any of these PC. I can log in like user 1 can log into PCA or PCB or PCC. Why? Because of user information not stored in a local PCs. It's stored in the centralized PC only. So centralized system will authenticate users when they log into the domain computers. So like user to log in here, user 3 log in here, and user 4 is trying to log in here, is cannot able to log in. You know why? Why user 4 is unable to log in? Because PCA, PCB, PCC join in the domain, but PCD is not joined in the domain. I didn't return the PCD information here. So PCD is obviously outside of my domain. It is a not in my domain, so I cannot able to log in with the domain user. Next, for example, shift change. So user 4 login here, user 5 login here, maybe user 6 login here. Any user can able to go to login. Only thing is user information stored in a domain controller, and the domain computers information is available in the domain controller. So those are domain, those PCs are joined into the my domain, that is called domain computers. Okay, so domain users can log into domain computers only, cannot be log into other than my domain computers. I don't know about a PCD, whether it is workgroup PC or it is in belongs to some other domain. Okay, so this is the basic part. Next, next one is, guys, here it is. As I said, I want to distribute a certain rule. Like I have 100 computers, I want to configure firewall for 100 computers. What I will do it, I will create a group policy in the central PC. I will apply this group policy to everyone. Then, so this policy will be applicable for each and every PC. It means we are controlling these PCs centrally. We are deploying settings using group policies. We are deploying settings using group policies. We can deploy applications using group policies. We apply certain settings, means what we can say, we enforce various type of settings to the large number of users and computers using group policies. Using group policy, it is we are enforce various type of settings to the large number of computers and users using group policies. What type of settings it is? Desktop related settings, firewall related setting, means security related setting, network related settings, application deployment related settings, folder redirection related settings. Okay, these are all comes under various type of settings. Okay, so here we will go to see what is a domain. What is it? Is centralized administration. Centralized controller is there, so that is called a domain. Controller is nothing but a server. Domain administrator is admin for all systems in the domain. Domain administrator. Who is a domain administrator? So that account is also, that admin account is also in the domain controller. Okay, he is an admin for all systems in the domain. So for PCA, PCB, PCC, and server, so we have only single administrator. So for PCD, we don't have any central administrators. It's individual administrator. We can enforce various type of settings to large number of users and computers in the domain using group policies. What is group policy? We can enforce various type of settings to the large number of users and computers. Okay, so users, computers, groups, services, resources, information stored in a centralized system or centralized server, which we called as a domain controller, is Active Directory database. Okay, so we have store information in the centralized computer or a centralized system. So what is a information stores? Users, computers, groups, services, resource information, we store it. So where we store in a centralized system means it is a domain controller. In the domain controller database is there, that is called a Active Directory database. We store this information into Active Directory database called NTDS.DIT. Users, domain user can log into any domain computer. Okay, a domain user can log into any domain computer, but when they log in, so they send information to domain controller for getting authenticated. Yeah, here is the explanation of workgroup. Same explanation is like a PC1 user is Akash. Akash is a local administrator of PC1. So Akash can able to change settings, install application, uninstall application, give permissions. Akash can manage PC1 but not other PCs. Keep the user information stored in PC2, not in other PCs. Make a changes settings by using to each by going to each PC and every PC, each and every PC, you have to go to do certain settings. Individually, they are sitting, individually they care, but in organizations, so that's the point I don't tell. So what is it? In organization, you have a large number of computers. You have to go to each and every PC to do certain settings inside. I have a laptop. I'll manage my laptop, but in organizations, I'm using their computers, so they have to follow the rules, right? So that is very difficult to apply the sentence. Here it is a domain, like there is a centralized server, and it is become a domain controller based on by installing Active Directory domain services and DNS services. So you have a database in your domain controller called NTDS.DIT. New technology directory service directory information tree. Okay, so it stores the computer information and user information, resources, and other kind of stuff. Okay, so C1, C2, C3, C4, C5 computers are belongs to domain, and C6 is not belongs to domain. So users can able to log into any of the computers from C1, C2, C3, C4, and C5, but not in a C6. So whenever trying to log into the client computer, so your server will authenticate your client live credentials. Okay. Again, same thing only. Sure, are you belongs to work group or a domain? You want to go to connect to the domains, go to member of domain and give the domain name. Automatically, are belongs to that domain. Okay. So that is about your domain and workgroup, guys. And there is a question, what is the difference between workgroup and domain? So workgroup is a decentralized administration, domain is a centralized administration. Workgroup is a no centralized control, and here it is. We have a centralized controller. We have a centralized controller called a domain controller. This server. No centralized control. Every PC has their own administrator, but in the domain administrator is admin for everyone in the domain environment. One PC user cannot log into other PCs. Here it is, domain users can log into any other domain computer. Okay, it is very easy to manage even though you have a more number of devices. You can deploy applications or settings, okay, through group policies. Guys, this is about your work group and domain. The last one is not last one. So here it is, AD domain. What is Active Directory domain? Just relax a 2 minutes or read this just a 2 minutes. If you want, we can cut here and we can continue also. But relax for 2 minutes, just 2 minutes. Okay. Okay, this is different batch. Different morning batch it is. Guys, understand work group and domain somewhat at least. I am muted or not muted? Okay. Are you understand anything or may I require to go through once again or anything? Are you able to hear?
जी सर जी.
Then, so this is our group and domain, guys. If you don't get it, please check once again, or otherwise I will tell you. Here is the last point. Okay, for this connecting in this point in this class. Okay, this is the last one. Next, I will see. We'll go to DHCP also. For this connecting, I will forward a video to you. There it is about work group and domain. Okay, so we can find regularly. That is usually I will forward. Not all these things. So we have a lot of videos. Out of that one, for one service desk related only like this. In our group and domain, I showed what is work group, what is domain, and what is Active Directory, how to create a user, how to log in with user, and how to reset the user, Active Directory user. I created in one of the video. Okay, like this. In this one, you can able to see how practically we can able to do it. Like what is server, where we create a user, how to log into the client. Okay, how to that information you can get it. I will forward that video today, so please check it once. So then you get an idea. So how to deal with the Windows servers, like how to reset the password, what is the ticket in that one. Okay, so like how people send a request and all. So I paid a one video. So totally there is two videos. Sorry, for this work group and domain, one video only. Okay, here it is. What is a Active Directory domain? What is domain? It is saying it is what is domain, right? So some people, when we ask a question, what is a domain? So they immediately they search in a Google. Okay, they'll search in a Google. So what is domain? Like this. Okay. So domain is some kind of English word only. In a different places they use a domain word, even though in the computing also this whatever the sentence is, it is wrong. Okay, domain is having so many kind of things. Okay, whatever it is showing, it is wrong, and what it is showing also wrong. So I want Active Directory domain, not a different type of domain. So that's why better to search like a AD domain. And also understand, is it the same meaning or different meaning? Okay, I'm not putting so that meanings. I will tell my points only. Guys, understand what is Active Directory domain or a domain, so in the sense of Active Directory related. A logical administrative boundary of users and computers. So look at here, a logical administrative boundary. Server A, C1, C2, C3, C4, C5, C6 computers are in the same network. But C1, C2, C3, C4, C5 are belongs to the domain called a contoso.com domain. C6 is not belongs to the domain. So that's why in the domain controller, it is having a information about C1, C2, C3, C4. C1, C2, C3, C4, C5, not about a C6. And also it contains a P1. P1 is a printer, and also user information is also there. Okay, it's stored in your database.
Hello.
In the domain control. Yeah, tell me.
Hello, Latif sir. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, Prakash this side.
Yes, sir, tell me.
So I'm asking when you're going to be close this session, how much time is going to be take now?
Oh, you want session? Talk.
No, no, not
Okay.
a session. I just need to be given us. I want to talk to them for a 2 minutes.
Okay,
Just
you can tell,
normal.
sir.
Everyone can hear me?
Yes, yes.
So the people who have not joined the training, which is a morning training for the communication, okay, communication skills. Those peoples need to be share me over the mail itself why they didn't join, okay, and for what reason they are on the leave that particular training. And whenever if you are not able to be attend the training, you need to be share me over the mail itself for the reason for which reason you are not able to attend the training, okay, because I am not getting any kind of mail from the batch 2, okay, the peoples as I have already told them what they need to be do if they are taking any leave, so should need to be informed to me first, okay, then I'm taking a leave for today. So it's not like the leave is granted, it just need to be informed me because I wanted to know the how many people has not joined the meeting and